Ready Player One has been directed by none other than Steven Spielberg. I mean, you already know that. That's probably what's going to get your ass to the cinema. But one must never forget the cuck that Steven Spielberg has also caught on. He has caught on some cuck in the past, PJ?
Absolutely, Matthew. In his later career, he started doing a lot of hit and misses. There was a time when Spielberg was consistent. You could expect quality from Spielberg.
Yes.
And slowly but surely, he started to
Catch on
dwindle, fall along the wayside. He started giving us ups and downs, peaks and troughs.
That's it. I mean, I think the biggest trough that we are referring to is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, absolutely.
Where both him and George Lucas took a vieslike kak on Indy. And
it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Everyone was excited about that film.
Everybody.
Like that was.
It was the return of Indiana Jones.
After like 20 years, people were ready for Indiana Jones.
Absolutely.
And then Spielberg, just took Indy's fedora and wiped his whole clean with it.
Clean, he took a second and a third one.
No.
So he wiped it, and then he folded it over, and then he wiped it again.
He made he
struggled to fold it a third time, and then he just he wiped it. It's like, okay, now there's no more
His wall smelled like roses when he was done.
Absolutely.
And then when
he was finished with it, he unfolded it and put it back on Harrison Ford. There you go.
Action.
Hey, Matt.
And I'm Peach.
And welcome to that movie review.
Also known as TMR.
Ready Player One is Steven Spielberg's homage to pop culture, and in recent years looked upon with great remembrance and nostalgia, namely the 70s, 80s and 90s.
Van Halen's Jump sets the tone to this sugar-coated sci-fi fantasy that sees Mr. Spielberg doing what he often does best, and that's making films that appeal to youngsters.
And that's really Ready Player One's greatest strength. It deals with historical subject matter, but its appeal is broad enough to keep both kids and adults entertained.
Ready Player One's combination of old tech and new tech means that it's got subject matter that's going to appeal to those of us who grew up in those eras that it deals with, and it's going to appeal to kids for its futuristic elements.
Ready Player One is an interesting love letter to mainly the 1980s. Spielberg's decision to make a film whose subject matter is, where he's actually a key contributor towards, is actually an interesting one. It's very meta.
Ready Player One refuses to make any real social commentary, although the decline of the human race is stated, but never overstated. The visual medium employed by Spielberg will say more than enough about humanity's plight.
I agree. Actually, directly after the film, I told PJ why I think it was a good film. There's various points where I feel they could have expanded upon a bit more. It intrigues you with the fall of society, in real life, and everyone moving towards this virtual world, but they never really focus a lot on that. It's more got to do with this story of this fucking likely who's trying to, win the game.
I hear you, Matthew. I hear you. I think it's also because it's based on a book, and anything that's based on a book, something will be lost in the translation process. Whenever you read a book, it's how often haven't you heard it? Anyone read a book and say, the book is better than the movie. So this is probably what we are going on over here.
Absolutely. I guess so. The very manner in the way people are living and their reliance on VR is enough to tell you that the future isn't actually that rosy. It's actually a dystopian sort of future, which makes one wonder why the filmmakers didn't decide to shoot this in SA. Because apparently Cape Town and Joburg and all, our beautiful country looks like a dystopian fucking future to Hollywood.
We're like the go-to country when they want to shoot dystopian.
Oh, you want to shoot an apocalypse? No, in Cape Town, under the bridge there in town.
Quickly.
They did Judge Dredd, they did Resident Evil, the final chapter. Apparently, our country looks cuck, Hollywood, you're hot.
Expect incredible production values and a visual feast that barely ever lets up. Spielberg meshes a digital world with a real world to create one contained story of good versus evil.
You can nitpick on a few things in this film and the story and cuck, but this film's visuals is outstanding. It's amazing. It's a fucking feast for the eyes. You won't need to check your brain in at the door, but it's not really going to challenge you either. Ready Player One is littered with tiny to massive nods to the era that it salutes, and therein lies a large part of its appeal.
And it is that time. Matthew, why don't you please tell him what you thought?
Okay, I didn't know what to expect with Ready Player One going into it. I never read the book, but the trailers did look fuck. I must say there's a few hit and miss things in here. I don't know if I'm just nitpicking or being overly critical of the film, but a lot of things didn't add up for me, and there's a lot of story elements that felt a bit, well, for lack of a better term, cuck, and you know, it didn't really hit home with me. But I think the filmmakers accomplished what they set out to do. They made a great family film, a visual masterpiece. So I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good film. I think you'll enjoy it if you watch it, but don't expect too much from it.
I'm going to give Ready Player One 7 out of 10. This is a Spielberg film, or a typical Spielberg film, where he's cautiously not setting a foot wrong. You know, it's a film it's a family film. So if you've got kids, you know, or lost lighties, or whatever the case is, or you need to lull some lighty and beat his naigat into submission to his beck, then go take that night to go watch Ready Player One. Other than that, it's also the way it pays homages to films that we've grown up and enjoyed over the years is a really nice touch. And I think Mr. Spielberg also has whoever the naives who wrote this book to thank for the source material. 7 out of 10.
So that's it this week for that movie review. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't be so, man.